Hi, I'm Sug.
And I'm Dan.
This is the Demystified Zone. Dan, did you hear about FTX this week?
Yeah, I did. I've been reading about its demise. Actually, I haven't been reading about it. My wife has been telling me after she reads about it.
She's your interpreter for all things news. What does Betty say about it? What is her take?
So, apparently FTX was in cahoots with another finance company. I forgot what that company was called. They were taking money from that other company, and they were in a shortfall, so they kept on borrowing or taking or off the books, and then the price of crypto plummeted. They need to come up with even more cash. Everything collapsed pretty quickly.
The classic oversell.
Yeah.
Not having enough money.
Not having enough money to back your
in you to
investment.
Back your, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna
and they all live together, right? In
I
this
don't know.
apartment offshore.
What?
That's what my wife said.
Okay. Interesting notes.
Yeah.
I want to hear her version.
It would be a much more interesting podcast with her.
It would be.
Sure.
Maybe we do need a change up here. A substitution.
Yeah.
Get her out here.
She's not as funny as me though.
She's got interesting information.
Oh, she's got so much more than me.
Well, we're not talking about FTX. Just put that in there. Mostly because it actually it made me think about technology and like how, like these guys, I always forget his name. He's got like a double hyphenated name.
Yeah.
Daniel something Freed, whatever.
Yeah.
Of like these tech guys now who are finance moguls because they're genius tech guys. And have
30 years old.
Yeah. Developed these like crypto and blockchain technology for money, which is crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it just beckoned me back to the early simpler days of AOL and and like do you remember those days? AOL dial-up?
Oh my gosh, I missed the little the AIM chirp that you would get.
Was that when you got mail or when someone messaged you?
I never checked my AOL mail. It's just AIM.
That's true. You didn't really check email back then.
Yeah. It's all about AIM.
It was about AIM.
For
AOL
sure.
Instant Messenger.
Yeah.
For those who don't know. You know what I was really into though is like, do you remember the bots? Like the punt bots and like the different like bombs you could do to people?
Uh-huh.
All right, for our younger listeners,
Oh my gosh.
this is the thing we used to do.
Yeah.
This was like our early hacker days. We used to, on the messenger service, you could do things. You could create like a chat room, which is we all come and hang out and we talk together in a group.
Yep.
Then you could like do these little like hack moves where you punt them, meaning you kick them out of the chat room, but then you can like kick them offline too, which is really funny because they have to dial back on.
Yeah.
And you can kick them off again when you find them.
Mm-hmm.
So tying this into North Korea, all things North Korea here. We talked in early episode 2, y'all go back to episode 2. We talk about the crypto heist that North Korea pulled rather. And they stole some like 400 million in cryptocurrency. And we just discussed a lot about North Korea. Are they sophisticated or not?
Mm-hmm.
And if they are, what is it? What are their capabilities? This time, I'm talking about North Korean hackers in general.
Yeah.
And this has become a bigger thing and continues to grow as a bigger thing. And it really plays into the geopolitical identity that they portray and what they do in their, obviously, again, their style is like leave nothing on the table. Like they're going to go all in for all things. So, and it's scary, especially in the context that we just talked about, like in the context of kids, it's scary. In the context of entire nation doing this now, like going after people. Russia also has been messing with a lot of elections, hacking into, they're constantly, there's a cyber warfare that is happening now amongst nations that we don't see.
It's scary.
So in North Korea, early this year, January 2020, there was a speculation of outages that were happening at North Korean missile sites. And North Korean websites were like intermittently being inaccessible, and like they were going down and they were coming up and they're going down. And so there were actual disruptions to the country's servers. And like, including at least one of the central routers that allowed digital access to the country's network from the outside world, which is a huge deal. As we know, we've mentioned before, Korea has like an intranet, a very closed off internet system.
Yep.
So one of the servers that was connecting North Korea to the outside world was hacked and compromised. And according to a report by Wired, it was done by an American hacker named by P4X, who claimed responsibility for the attack. And the reason why P4X did this was because they claimed that North Korean government was hacking them for Western security information.
Interesting. Yeah.
So there's been this like kind of, battles happening where this person went and really got into North Korea's face and took down their missile systems because North Korea was apparently fishing for Western security information themselves. And that just kind of like sent me down. So that headline, you guys can look that up.
We'll put it in the notes.
Yeah, we'll put in the note. That sparked this whole thing for me after I did the whole crypto heist. We did that together, and I was like, what else have they done or are they doing? And that takes me to this report that I found. Y'all can look it up. It's on the web.
We'll put it on the notes as well.
It is what would you call this? It's a report by like
It's a study.
A study. There you go. I don't know official things like that. And it's called The All-Purpose Sword.
Yes.
North Korea's Cyber Operations and Strategies. It's like a 20-page document. It looks very official, like by NATO, or it says NATO up here, so NATO maybe commissioned this.
Yeah.
And it's an in-depth study by Ji-young Kong, Jong-in Lim, and Kyung-gon Kim. So 3 Korean dudes, or Korean people, I don't know if they're all dudes, who one works for the Korean Security Korea University Agency for Defense Development, one's for Department of Information Security in Korea University, and Industry University Corporation Professor of Information Security, yada yada. All from Korea, so guys in their top of their field, seems like, for this. This report came out in, what year is that? 2019. Y'all gotta go read this report.
It's pretty interesting. I mean, I didn't understand a lot of the technical language, but basically they're just talking about how cost effective cyber warfare is, right? Like, rather than spending $10,000 on a single anti-aircraft missile or whatever, however much that costs, you could put that money to cyber warfare, and the extent of damage would be much greater. The bang for your buck, if you will be much greater for cyber. And a country that's always strapped for cash, this is a much more economical and efficient way to get what you want.
Yeah, and it checks off all the boxes for them, right? It checks off it's cheap, it's fast, you don't need a lot of manpower, and it's all black market. It's all like Cloak and Dagger. They love their Cloak and Dagger. And
I love it.
Y'all got to read this report, okay? Again, we'll put the link up. It goes into detail, great detail and depth. Again, it's more of like a study than a news report, so it's not very narrative. But they studied all the patterns of North Korea's cyber crimes in the last couple decades, maybe it's a decade, and tracked all the things that were, again, speculated to be North Korea. Some of them are confirmed, actually, that they were North Korea. So just to name a few, because there were a lot. Yeah. In the last 10 years, there was the Blue Noroffs, or Blue Noroffs, I don't know. It's a cyber cell that's speculated to be North Korean. They had an attack in 2016 on the Bangladesh Bank, which they tried to rob $1 billion US from the Federal Reserve Bank in New York, but it was under the Bangladeshi bank account. So they tried to steal $1 billion from Bangladesh. a Bangladesh bank through these SWIFT network. If you guys remember, SWIFT is like that whole wire transfer, you know, codes and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't. So it says after several transactions went through, 20 million traced to Sri Lanka, 81 million. So they got a little over 100 million, and the 81 million to the Philippines. The Fed Reserve shut it down.
Yeah.
Due to suspicions raised by misspelling.
Oh, wow.
And that's what's so crazy about this. Like, had they done their spell check, North Korea, they would have walked away with $1 billion from.
Yeah, they could write the code perfectly, but they couldn't spell. That's. Oh my gosh.
That's good. So that's one of the biggest
crazy.
heists that is on record that we knew was North Korean. And then the next one is the op was called Blockbuster, which is again the Interview.
Yeah.
The movie The Interview, made by Sony, which is a Japanese company, that basically the North Korean hackers, if you guys don't know, The Interview is a comedy movie that made fun of the assassination of Kim Jong-un. North Korea didn't like that. They attacked Sony's servers. They got in and I think deleted like half, if not 60% of all their data.
Yeah.
Like across the company or something crazy like that. Like it was an insane number of files. Sony lost like hundreds of millions of dollars from it.
I think it was like 400 million to the tune of.
Jeez. Either way, it hurt them.
For that movie. It wasn't like The
movie.
Godfather either. It was for the Interview. Not a great movie.
You know what though? That movie though is, if you're not into comedy, especially Western comedy, it is pretty insulting. You were literally putting on a movie about assassinating your leader.
a sitting dictator or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Played by Randall Park.
Randall Park, he was pretty good. I mean, they had its moments, but
I love Randall.
Yeah.
Randall, come on here if you're listening, please. But here's something funny about that. According to FBI Director James Comey at the time, due to quote unquote mistakes made by the North Koreans, spelling maybe, the FBI were able to find the IP addresses which were exclusively used by North Koreans several times.
Okay.
So that's how they knew that was a North Korean.
So they're not
attack.
good at covering their tracks.
Yes.
Like, okay.
Which is interesting because, I mean, I don't know anything about hacking, so maybe that's difficult. Who knows? And then here's another famous one, Operation Dark Soul.
Yeah.
March 20, 2023. Cyber attack.
2013.
2013, I'm sorry.
We're not in 2023.
I'm just excited. That's all. Cyber attack paralyzed the network services of South Korean media and financial companies. So basically try to shut down Seoul.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I don't remember this. No.
I actually remember the news headline for this, but I didn't realize how serious it was. So Seoul like systems kind of went down like unexpectedly. And then the Seoul government figured out it was speculated it was the North Korean hackers because it had discovered the logs of the targeted victims.
Yeah.
And then there were, again, well-known IP addresses used by North Korean hackers. And it says actually the third reason why they thought it was them was because the attackers reused malware from past operations.
Yeah.
Specific paths and strings used for creating malware. So they left breadcrumbs. I wonder if that was on purpose.
I mean, what did they care? They're trying to get something done and they did it. So who cares what consequences exist for people to know who did it?
Well, now there are. According to P4X, you can get in there and shut down their missile command or missile stations.
Yeah, that's true.
So, well, maybe, I don't know if it was intentional, but I think not hopefully, I never hope for them to learn from those mistakes, but in that way. So it's interesting because we talk about their infrastructure.
Yes.
And this guy, P4X, actually said that too, of saying, he said, P4X claimed that North Korea's internet technology is outdated and that cyber infrastructure is small. Which is why he said it was like easier for him to hack them.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was he or the reporter saying this, but on the flip side of that, only a small fraction of North Korean population has access to internet systems. So how much effect does it actually have if you hack them?
Right. It sounds like if you do a counterattack, then yeah, you might be able to shut off missile silos or whatever. But by and large, the people will not be affected. Where on the opposite end of the equation, like with Seoul, boy, oh boy.
You know what this is? It's like they're attacking us with like the, identity theft. Identity theft times 100, right?
Yeah.
Like they're able to shut us down, shut off our power grid, potentially, if they learn that.
Well,
but then when we attack them, it's the AOL bots. Like we're kicking them out of chat rooms and restarting their computers because they got nothing over there.
Yeah. That does give them a distinct advantage.
It does.
And they were smart enough to realize that.
Yeah.
And to start to exploit it. It just makes me think, 2013, this happened in Seoul. What else do they have loaded up in case actual war breaks out? What malware can they inflict on South Korea when that happens? I wonder.
Yeah, and here's the scary part for me. And I remember I read this report on the nuclear armaments for North Korea and how during the Obama administration, I don't know if this was just for press or what, they just said, like, we think their nuclear arms program is still in the 1950s. Like, they're not near us. But then there were a lot of reports that said, no, that's just what we're meant to think. They're actually like really close. And they don't have they can't put it into a missile yet, but like they have nukes, like, or they're very close to getting nukes.
Yeah.
And we got to stop, like, we're running out of time, essentially.
Right.
And I remember reading that and being like, oh my gosh, like, I can, like, diplomatically, we will wait forever, and that's just time for them to develop this nuclear program.
Right.
On the same side of that coin is like, yeah, they probably are getting really good at hacking and cyber crimes. Like, they clearly stole 400 million in crypto already, and they're just going to learn and get better from here.
In a country of 20, 25 million people, if you pull your talent, right? And develop your talent, you are going to find people who are good at hacking. You are going to find, nuclear physicists who could at least match what other countries are doing, right? Or in cahoots with your cyber attack program, steal the intellectual property necessary to make your missiles, right?
Yes.
It's all they need is time, and what they have over the rest of the world, as the rest of the world is under some delusion that we can stop their nuclear program, is they can wait out. So their plan is, no matter what, let's advance our nuclear program. So under Trump, there were sanctions up the wazoo. They took advantage of that, right? They did not stop their nuclear program.
Yeah.
Obama, he practiced what was called strategic patience, where he said, unless you're willing to dismantle your program, we're not going to come to the table. So, we're not going to talk. I'm going to develop my program. Under George W. Bush, same deal. There was a lot of pressure given their way. There was the 6-party talks, but all this whole time, they did not halt their program. They have, blown up missile silos or, uranium purification plants or whatever, but they just built new ones and better ones.
Yeah.
And they've at times indicated that they were willing to stop some parts of it, but underground, literally underground, they kept on going. They kept on going, and all they know, all time is on their side.
And like you said, what's to stop them? Who is going to stop them? Like, who's going to physically stop them? Because the answer to no one. They're not part of the UN. They're not part of. They're not part of anything worldwide. Like,
they are part of the UN. They are in a member. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I called their offices.
Oh, okay.
Before.
Well, whatever it is, they don't adhere to anything by the UN or any world rules, right? And same goes for like Russia, right? And China, like they're not really following, like they're doing their own things too.
And they are part of the UN Security
Council. But those are bigger nations that have way more front-facing. I mean, we're in a war. Russia's in a war right now. That's mind-boggling right now. They're in a war with Ukraine.
Yeah.
And it's just still happening.
Yeah, it's still happening.
And they're still like pushing forward as if they have every right to invade another country. So it goes just like the power of like, I don't know how to categorize this in my mind, but it's just the power of like people with determination to do something on their own or what they want to do.
Yeah.
Is sometimes unstoppable. Like you just can't stop it unless you physically go in there and stop it or try to stop it with using your power. But you know, that's like a political web that you have to navigate.
Yeah. I mean, another distinct advantage they have over us is that there's not a new guy coming every 4 to 8 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they have a plan, and they've been working on this plan since the early 90s.
Yeah.
Right? So, and yeah, if it were the US, right, we would have gotten there already, right? But, you know, smaller country, sanctions, blah, blah, blah. They know that all they need is time.
Yeah.
And they're willing to wait it out over decades. And that's the plan. That's the advantage they have over these democracies where, I don't like what this guy is saying. Let's just wait for the new guy to come, right?
Yeah.
And all the while, we're just going to keep on developing it.
And so here's
crazy.
the silver lining, or at least some say. Cyber warfare is ever changing.
Okay.
Right? I can't even like keep up with my iPhone. Like it updates all the time. I don't know what the heck's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I think I'm pretty tech savvy.
Yeah.
So like to be at the forefront of cybercrime, I'm assuming we need an expert to talk about this, but like I'm assuming it changes, like technology changes. There's now blockchain. There's all these different things.
Sure.
You need to grow with that.
It's like a cat and mouse game almost.
Yeah. Where like nuclear physics doesn't change.
Yeah.
You just got to learn it. But
Yeah.
learning it is hard. It's a steep curve.
Right.
Right. But it's still taking them the better part of 70 years
Yeah.
to figure it out.
Sure.
And they're getting there. That's
Uh-huh.
again, time is limitless for them. They're
Right.
going to get there.
Yeah.
We can assume they're going to get there. With cyber security and cyber crimes, I think they can get there too.
Yeah.
And like, yes, it's changing and it'll only slow them down. It won't stop them though. And
Yeah.
I pulled this up on the screen. Take a look at this. This is from that report, the all-purpose, which I love that name, the all-purpose sword.
I love that. There's some gamers in this study.
I know. It's just like, isn't that just
or D&D players.
maybe? But it sounds wonderful. I'm going to use that. There's this little chart that these researchers did of the North Korea military command structure. It's insane.
Yeah.
They have, well, what's insane about this is like North Korea has thought about this.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole thing of like, will cybersecurity be a threat from them? Yes, because they've put in the organization effort for it.
Mm-hmm.
There are all these branches. Y'all can just check this out. It's on page 4 of that PDF if you go look at it. If you look down on these highlighted, dark highlighted, these are all cybercrime divisions.
So it's basically half of their.
So
their
the ground
infrastructure.
force, Navy, Air Force, and strategic force, whatever that is, they all have departments for cybercrime. And then they have like this reconnaissance, which I believe is like their CIA.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a whole bureau called Bureau 121 that is all, and supposedly this bureau here, that wing 121, is the cause of creating that Blue Norkoff, the blockbuster op. Like all those ops came from this wing, all the major ones supposedly. But I just like, look at this name of the Air Force one: Enemy Collapse Sabotage Bureau.
There's no. There is no ambiguity in that name. It's all laid out for you. Enemy Collapse Sabotage Bureau. There's no like, I wonder if they're up to good or bad things.
No questions on when you get hired in that one. You're like, what do I do here? You know what we're doing here.
The mission statement is the name of our group.
Exactly. Like some of these are really generic, like Unit 204.
Yeah.
Very, clandestine. You don't know, but
don't know.
you know what you're doing in that one. And the Electronic Warfare Bureau. You know what you're doing in that one.
But, the CIA and FBI, we have our stuff too.
Yeah,
in
for sure.
Cyber warfare. And yeah.
We're
all doing it.
This is not for sure we're all doing it. I think this is more of a sign of things to come.
Yeah, and we name it like unit some number, right?
Yeah,
but
like
not enemy collapse, whatever, something.
Maybe we need to be more forthright, and that will attract the best minds rather than losing them to some like app company to make money, right? Because that's our problem right now. Like we have all these wonderful genius minds, but they're out to make their money.
Right.
They don't want to join the government and this good fight.
Right.
But China, Russia, North Korea, these guys are just pulling by force their best of the best into these enemy collapse bureaus. We need to have an enemy collapse bureau.
Yeah. We need to come up with a good name for the CIA bureau.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like the all-purpose sword.
All-purpose sword.
Or like the sword of destiny.
Oh.
There we go.
The sword of destiny.
Who wants to be hired on the sword of destiny team? Or the sword to end all swords.
Oh, there you go.
AKA a hammer.
Yeah.
Well, point being here, getting back on topic, is they're organized.
Yeah.
Clearly they're organized. If you go deeper in the report, actually, what's interesting, and again, that whole thing I mentioned about the silver lining, about them having no infrastructure, and again, they're smart people, y'all. I think we as Americans can sometimes, and I'm talking about myself too, make the erroneous assumption that if a society is not sophisticated or technologically or modern, quote unquote, we think they're dum-dums. Like they're just like primitive.
Yeah.
Which is not true. Like wisdom doesn't come from it's not a reflection of your technological advancedness or even your societal governance, right? Like the fact that people don't have democracy doesn't mean they're all like, sawdust in their brains.
Yeah. They're very, just think about it, right? It's so ingenious. And this is by no means, obviously, an endorsement of what they do, but I do appreciate the smarts that it takes to just think about it, right? Like, what do we use the internet for? Convenience and entertainment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And just so we want to make each other laugh and make things more easier for ourselves, we're opening ourselves up to these huge vulnerabilities that a small country with not that many resources can exploit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just because we want these couple of things. I don't know. I think it's very smart of North Korea to go after this. Not endorsement, obviously, but it is very smart of them to pursue these things.
For sure. And it's also like, it's just like they always come from a position of nothing to lose. Mm-hmm. And they kind of like, and we talked about this, how like they're very free-handed about sacrificing their people to achieve something that we think is like foolish. Mm-hmm. But again, that leads to a dangerous person or dangerous nation when they act like they live like they have nothing to lose. Right. And we live kind of the opposite. We hold very dearly to our own rights and independences, so much so like we'll fight each other for it, internally. And it just, I don't know. It's hard for me when I was preparing for this to see a bright future in this relationship specifically.
Yeah.
North Korea's cyber warfare tactics. If there's any place to be a troll and be the worst human being ever, it's on the internet. And if North Korea is digging into how to doing that better, that scares me.
Yeah. Yeah. It is scary. It makes me want to not be on the internet.
You know what? That's true, but I don't know if you can avoid that.
Yeah, we can't avoid it. This podcast lives on the internet.
Exactly.
We're not sending CDs around America or tapes,
Put your order in now for our CD. And we'll
for $9.99 plus shipping and handling, we will send you. Right. It's all done on the internet, right? We've been recording at this church from the very beginning. Without my phone, I still can't get to this church. However many podcasts we've recorded here, Yeah,
and I hope, I don't know, and it's never a good solution where I always think like the only solution is that we just beef up our defense, or even our offense,
right,
and go after them.
That just means escalation.
Yeah. But maybe that's what it'll be.
Yeah.
unless something else radical happens, right?
Yeah.
And North Korea, I hope it doesn't happen, but I'm pretty sure it will, is they're going to get beyond the phishing for grandma's password scams and African prince scams to get your passwords and logins. I feel like they've already gotten past that, actually, but
Yeah.
it's getting there. Really interesting, another graph here from this report was, hold on, let me pull it up here. Again, you should check this out. This is very detailed. But I want you to look at this. So cyber attacks, this little graph, cyber attacks of North Korea in 2016 and 2018 categorized by target. North Korean defectors is a category.
Oh, yeah.
So they're using their defectors, the refugee population, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then by attack vector, it's also North Korean defectors.
Yes.
So some of these defectors are not maybe real defectors even, and they're North Korean
spies.
Cyber spies.
That is one of the difficulties of North Korean defectors in South Korea because of this threat, right? It's very real and purposeful on the part of North Korea to plant spies and bad actors in the bunch, because then you can't trust anyone in the population.
Yeah.
Right?
Spoils the batch.
It spoils the batch. And if you have to question constantly, is this person here working to just have a job, or are they trying to steal things for North Korea?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or are they trying to infiltrate our network?
Have you come across
break it down?
Anyone that just seemed fishy? I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what levels they would go to. You know what I mean? Like, what kind of training they would go to do that? Because that's the ultimate spy game.
Okay. So we just assume that we've had spies and things in our network.
Really?
And we say this not because we're trying to prevent like spies from infiltrating us, because really what do we have to lose too, right? It's not like we're this gigantic organization. Yeah. So with every refugee, we just offer a certain amount of help, right? And when they try to cross the line and say, I need more, or I need more information, we don't play that game with anyone, because it could just be a North Korean who wants to get more out of us.
Okay.
Or if it's a spy in that situation, either way, we say, this is how we'll help you up to this point, right? And up to this point, we'll do everything possible, but there's a line, right? And it's just like setting boundaries for ourselves in a relationship. There's a line here. We're never going to cross it.
Yeah.
And if you don't like that, then maybe we're not the organization for you. But over the years, we've had to develop that mentality, right? Because there's so many sad stories. There's so many people we could potentially help even more. But because of this thread, and because we're trying to run an organization here, we can't make all these exceptions. That's the policy that we go
and
by.
Especially the approach and the posture you're taking is like to help people.
Yeah.
And you don't ever want to doubt, or like you want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt.
Exactly.
Right?
And so we'll help everyone to that point, no matter if we're sure that they're a spy.
Here you go. Right. Here's your limit. You can implement my program here.
Okay.
Here's your litmus test. You go through the training. You set them up, and then you leave your laptop open, and you have like a Post-it note with your password on it, clearly written, and just see who takes the bait, who goes in and tries to hack. And on the web page, you make a fake web page that says like all U.S. secrets. Log in and see who takes the bait.
Right. Or who like set up a webcam and who just double takes on that paper. Even that will tell us.
And then you see which ones have the most spelling mistakes.
Yes. It doesn't take that much, right, to topple us over on that way if we're not firm on our boundaries. Yeah. Fortunately, we've learned to set good boundaries.
Yeah. And you know what? I think even if the defectors are coming over in espionage, that there is always hope for every person to turn a new leaf and turn a new coin once they come into the rest of the world, you know, no matter what charge or order they've been given.
Exactly. Or even if they just want to steal money from us, right? Like it's still for us worth it to share the love of God with them. We think that it's still worth it, right? It's like, oh, well, maybe they just are lacking love.
Yeah.
And so
that's the same attitude I take when my bike gets stolen in the city. I'm like, that person just needed a bike.
Right. And you try your best. Right. You try your best not to get it stolen.
Yeah.
But you know what, man? We just, you know, this is our line. We'll give it to everyone. And yeah, we're just trying to be loving to them. And we genuinely want to help them. And so if they steal from us, they steal from us. It's okay.
Well, hopefully they don't hack that database of ours. And send out phishing emails to all our
donors,
all our listeners and donors, and my mom and dad, who will for sure click on that link. Why do they do that?
My dad.
Why do our Korean parents always click on the link? I've had that conversation like a million times. Why do they do that still?
I might have to edit this out, but my dad, I have access to his email. So I've seen like he gets those, you know, Nigerian prince emails. Yeah. And he knows it's fake, but he'll write them back like, oh, like sarcastically saying, yeah, I'll help you or whatever. I'm like, why are you even doing that?
Yeah.
You know?
No, I don't get it.
I don't get
like, it's gotten to a point where my mom, I always go, did you click on the link? She goes, no, I no click. And I'm like, clearly you did something. Yeah. You, whether by accident, because you have bad mouse control still, or like you don't understand the difference between single click and double click, and that in the link it doesn't matter. Like something happened here.
Yep.
They just can't resist.
Sometimes they get me, you know. Sometimes not.
What?
Not okay. So, not like an email thing, but like sometimes those pop-up things where it looks like, you know, your computer.
Never.
Really?
You know what though? They've been getting me, or they almost got me. I've been getting texts.
Yeah.
A lot of texts.
Yeah.
And there was one that was like, I had just met a person with the same name, and they wrote like, "Hey, I'm just going through my contacts here. I saw this come up. Like, can you message me back and let me know who you are?" Yeah. And I was like,
"Oh man,
that's
like, good."
Wait. And then
that's good.
It was a really different. It was a different spelling of the name. That's why I was spelling again. It was a North Korean person. It was the spelling.
Yeah.
All right, North Korea, learn how to spell.
Please.
Just kidding, but for good reasons. Hey listeners, if you'd like to make a real impact in the lives of North Korean refugees, please consider donating. Go to crossingbordersnk.org and click on the donate button in the upper right. It's so easy, your aging appa can do it by himself without FaceTiming you first thing in the morning for help with his iPhone.